Sup guys, here is the upcoming nor'easter and severe threat in the southeast too.
Watching rainfall across a very saturated part of the country. Parts of Arkansas, western Tennessee, northern Mississippi have seen excessive rainfall this month. In fact, Memphis, you are now #1 all-time wettest February, 11.98 inches. You'll get to 12 inches by tonight. Just south of Memphis, we've got a flash flood warning still ongoing. Coahoma, Panola, and Quitman counties under this warning until 6:45. So this extends from eastern Arkansas into western parts of the state of Mississippi. These areas, again, have seen a ton of rain over the past week, and just over the last 6 hours, we've been adding another 1 to 2 inches across the area. Just to the south and southwest of Clarksdale, 1.2 inches over 6 hours. All right, want to get you the story from Pangburn, Arkansas. That's where we find Ron Blome. And Ron, we've seen so much rain, already ongoing flooding, and with more on in the forecast, it's got to make people nervous.
It does, and in fact, we've set records all over the state. Some places up to 14 inches of rain, a dozen inches in Little Rock. One local here told me in the little town of Pangburn, 9.5 inches. And a lot of people here live down along the Little Red River, which is a recreational river. That water has been rising. The Corps of Engineers releasing water, so they're nervously watching it, right, to make sure the docks don't wash away. But here's the amazing thing that happened now overnight. It was a pond in front of the houses built along an old railway right-of-way. It collapsed 40 feet high, about 80 yards wide. This enormous cavity just came rushing forward. For an hour, water was surging towards a half a dozen homes along the Little Red River. A couple of homeowners said they thought the houses were going to be washed away. We've got some amazing survival stories we're going to share with you tonight as this goes on. So more from Pangburn and more rain. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much for that update, Ron. Take a look what's happening for us right now across the South. Certainly Memphis, Oxford, absolutely soaked right now. Flooding is going to be an ongoing issue for us, we believe, for the next couple of days. Flash flooding, also a big concern for us as well. Dr. Erica Navarro is here. We're talking about these thunderstorms that are going to happen for us. Could we be looking at a training situation where thunderstorms happen over the same place over and over and over, just like train tracks and cars on a train track?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're facing tonight. You can even kind of see the imprint of it based on how horizontal this flash flood watch really is. This, to me, suggests that signature of those training thunderstorms, because we see those same areas usually right around a front, a stationary boundary, or in this case, a warm front here, that continue to receive those thunderstorms and heavy rainfall throughout the evening. So here's the setup for today. We've got the warm front in the region and that warm air that's pushing up towards the south. It's right at that boundary of where the moisture is coming in, and the strong winds are overlying this boundary. And the key here is that those winds are basically parallel with that boundary near the surface. So that usually sets us up for the same areas here just continuing to generate and generate and generate over again. So right along this front, we could be seeing 2 to 6 inches of additional rainfall tonight, which
just tonight,
that's a substantial amount of rain to be coming down in just one period of time here. Many of these areas are already having their wettest February on record because they've received so much over the last couple of days. So this is a very unfortunate and very serious threat here that's going on in these areas. And we're looking at how much more rain it would take to cause flooding in some of these areas. Look at the pink and purples. That's less than an inch of rain there.
Yeah.
Places in western Tennessee basically are at that point.
Yeah, but you're essentially guaranteed for flash flooding. When you've got less than a quarter inch and we look at the radar image and see what's headed your way, it's
a
pretty much
no-brainer.
signed,
It's
sealed,
going to
delivered.
happen. So you need to be prepared to take action at any point tonight.
Yeah, before you go to bed tonight, you need to have a plan. If you're in any of these areas, the potential here for flooding is so high, and this coming up overnight, this could be very devastating in many areas. You need to have a plan tonight.
All right. That's wise. That's a wise thing to do, because sometimes it's just really hard to predict exactly the moment or the place where that flash flooding is going to happen. All right, Dr. Murrow, thank you. And we've got a lot more to come tonight here on Weather Underground. Also tracking severe thunderstorms right now. We'll show you the latest hour-by-hour timing for where you are. Plus, warning a nor'easter that could bring life-threatening surge and coastal flooding to the northeast. See what concerns us most about this developing storm when we return on Weather Underground.
I want to talk about the wind and the waves. The wind and the waves are the most concerned. So here's us now. So we go around. So this is the, let's go to one first. So this is the wind, and this is and I'm not sure what model this is. But this is the wind, and okay, here's the wind for the Euro. It's light for most of the time. There was a pretty, not that bad. Then late on Thursday, Friday night, then Friday, especially midday evening, I'm just gonna pull up my area around here. Just gonna pull it up. Yeah. But remember, this is wind. This is wind. Thing that concerns me is actually the wind gust. So I'm also gonna check the wind for the GFS. So the wind for the GFS basically same as the Euro, a little bit stronger. Okay, that's the wind. But you can see up and around here, 45 knots around the island of Nantucket. So that was the wind. Now I'm gonna look at the wind gust. The wind gust is a whole different story. Wind gust is whole different story. Look at that, 45 knots. 45 knots. Around Nantucket. Really strong. Really gets kicking up by late Friday. And then, yeah. Okay, so that was the wind for the GFS. Let's see what the Euro is saying for the wind gust. The Euro wind gust has it a bit stronger for me, and even stronger for Nantucket. 70 knots. That's like 80 something mile per hour wind. Really, that's really strong. And areas up in here, there could be blizzard conditions up around here. Alright, that's what I want to discuss. Here.
last day of meteorological winter, and we are getting a taste of not one but two seasons. We've got severe storms and flooding to watch, as well as a major nor'easter on tap. Thanks for staying with us here on Weather Underground. I'm Alex Wilson.
And I'm Mike Bettis. We're going to go in depth on a multitude of threats that we're going to see here through the end of the week. Nor'easter tonight in the show, but we're going to start, though, with what's happening right now. The possibility for severe thunderstorms, some of them maybe even bringing large hail or even a tornado. Dallas to Nashville tonight, you need to be on alert. 65 right now in Dallas, 57 in Nashville.
Now let's get the very latest from severe weather expert Dr. Forbes. He joins us tonight from the lab.
Thanks, Alex. We could see some isolated severe thunderstorms. Certainly we're going to see some thunderstorms with heavy rain and flash flooding in the area here from parts of north central Texas all the way over to northern parts of Mississippi. The tornado threat not real high, certainly not what we saw last Saturday night, but there could be a tornado. I've given 3 on the 10-point tornado condition index scale. That may be a little bit on the high side. It probably will increase a little bit as we head into the evening. 3 means a 30% chance of a tornado within 50 miles. That area is kind of along an area where thunderstorms have already set up in this corridor, sort of south of the jet stream, in between this blue cold front and the red warm front, and ahead of this scalloped line here. That's the dry line. That's the west edge of the Gulf of Mexico moisture. No severe warnings at the moment. Across northern Mississippi, a couple flash flood warnings. Within the past half hour, this storm south of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, was severe warned. Could still be some small hail, maybe a small localized area of wind gusts with that. It looks like it's trying to surge eastward, but no warnings at the moment. This is the line that probably is going to increase in coverage as we get through the evening. Note that that's west of the Fort Worth, Dallas metroplex. The storm line there along the dry line that I was talking about around Breckenridge, Texas, up toward the Perrin, Texas area west of Mineral Wells, and that's going to come eastward overnight. Jumping farther to the east end, we do have heavy rain that's occurring up around the Tupelo, Mississippi area. Brand new flash flood warnings in Itawamba, Lee, and Prentiss counties, and ongoing flash flood warnings farther to the north there, Coahoma, Panola, and Quitman, where some of those thunderstorms have come through. It takes very little rain with this saturated ground to cause new flash flooding. Here's a future radar showing that line of thunderstorms west of the Fort Worth metroplex will march its way toward there, probably getting in there 9 o'clock or so. A little bow echo there coming into southwest Arkansas, the Texarkana area, and then this coverage and the intensity begins to go down in the wee hours of the morning. So a period here this evening, Mike, where we could get some severe weather and continuing a flood threat for this area. Mike?
All right, Dr. Forbes, thank you very much for that update. Let's drill down a little bit more now and go city-specific on what you can expect. All right, Dallas, boy, what a murky-looking evening for you. 65 degrees, low clouds, rain, dreary, just an uncomfortable evening for you. But we have an opportunity in the Red River Valley, northeast Texas, for more very strong thunderstorms. And let's time this out for you because it could get really difficult for you in the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex. There we are, about 7, 8 o'clock. Denison, just past Wichita Falls, all right? Watch this storm come across 35, rip right through the metroplex, maybe 9, 10, 11 o'clock. So that's the time frame we're going to worry about, and then pushing overnight farther off to our east and south. So you'll have about 2 hours of rough weather, and then things clear for you. Take you over towards, say, Texarkana and Shreveport. Let's time it out for you. It's going to be several more hours before it gets there, but about midnight or so, midnight to 2 a.m., this is when we're getting hit here between I-30 and I-20, all right? By rush hour tomorrow morning, light showers, we think, but most of the heavy stuff has moved beyond you at that point as you head out tomorrow morning. Little Rock, showers in our forecast now through 10 o'clock in the morning, and I would say almost with certainty within the next hour or two, we're going to set our all-time February rainfall records. So when you have that kind of rain in your forecast, when you've seen this much rain already so far this month, Alex, we know the consequences of flooding.
Right, and we've basically got almost guaranteed flooding when we go through the coming hours because we've seen so much rain. The ground is saturated. It can't take any more, and unfortunately, we've got more rain in the cards. So, I mean, we're talking a quarter of an inch, let alone inches, would lead to flooding. You're looking at the rainfall over the last 7 days in spots over a half foot, even up to a foot. Arkansas has been one spot hit especially hard.
Yeah, that's right. During what is typically a fairly dry month for the entire state, Ron Blum joins us tonight from Pangburn, Arkansas. This is northeast of Little Rock. Ron, they had issues there this morning with the dike that was breached. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to go down as one of the strangest ones. It may go into one of our strange weather shows. You know, we've been to a lot of flash floods. We've seen creeks come up. We've seen rivers overflow banks, taking out mobile home parks and things like that. This one involved an old railroad embankment, a grade that was about 40 feet high, and apparently, according to a state official, where there was a viaduct underneath, it had been plugged and this pond was behind it. Well, yesterday, after more heavy rain last night, water started to flow over, and then about 3 a.m. it just gave way, and it was a thundering, splintering explosion of water and debris that pushed down this little valley and then spread out toward a half a dozen houses that sit on the banks of the little Red River. They would have expected flooding from behind, but it came towards their front door. Some of those areas were still flooded today. No one was hurt. No water got in houses. There were outbuildings damaged, but we talked to Mr. Delbert Miller, one of the survivors, who said it was unreal and it scared him and his wife to death. Let's listen.
The rushing water lasted at least an hour, and but the bad part, to where we was really scared when the house started shaking, and it started going down pretty fast once it started going down. So, and I knew about what it was, that levee broke over there.
And you know, it was so much water, it crossed the flooding and flowing Little Red River and went up the bank to houses across there, knocked furniture off of decks that are about 25 feet above the river, and took out several boat docks. One of them is now jammed underneath the bridge just down the road here. And you know what? More rain is coming in tonight. Maybe 2 to 4 inches here, maybe 3 to 5 inches in the southern part of the state. So this huge rain event that began a week ago isn't over yet. Mike?
All right, thank you very much, Ron, for the report. Could you imagine the situation that those people were in when it's just a wall of water and mud and debris coming at your home? That's got to be frightening.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure I would know what to do in that situation.
Right?
Yeah.
And to think there could be situations tonight where flash flooding, maybe not necessarily to that extent, but we can't say for sure, that isn't going to threaten neighborhoods again.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are looking at an extension of this threat throughout the evening tonight, with many areas at play here across the state of Arkansas and into the state of Tennessee, even northern parts of Mississippi and Alabama. A very high threat here of some very heavy rainfall here to come. Keep an eye on those yellow and red colors. That's the areas where we are expecting very heavy rainfall, potentially around 1 inch per hour at some of the highest in the rates here. This is too much, honestly, on top of what we've already received, especially in the Little Rock area. Several rounds of storms to come through here, which could be bringing as much as 2 to 3, maybe even as much as 6 inches tonight across some of these areas. I mean, 6 inches in one night?
That's generally more than a lot of these places get in an entire month.
Yeah.
Now you do it in one night on top of what has been a record-setting month already.
Yeah.
You're just asking for disaster.
Yeah. So that is what we're facing in many of these areas here. It could be very substantial, this threat across the state of Tennessee and Arkansas for sure. One to watch.
All right, thank you very much. Alex?
Hey, stick around. We are going to break down the timing and impacts of this weekend's major nor'easter, who will get blasted with snow, and where life-threatening storm surge will likely be a major problem. Weather Underground. We are watching heavy rainfall across parts of the state of Arkansas. I want to show you the enhanced satellite picture, and you notice those brighter colors just to the east of Little Rock. These are indicative of now strengthening showers and storms that are going to be producing very heavy rainfall rates. It actually triggered heavy enough rainfall that we've seen a new flash flood warning issued. This is four areas just east of Little Rock, Lone Oak, Monroe, and Prairie counties under this flash flood warning. It continues until 8:30, so we'll watch parts of I-40 and surrounding locations for that potential for rising water. Now we take you down to the Dallas area. Areas to the west, seeing those showers and thunderstorms developing. Again, this is an area Dr. Greg Forbes is watching for that threat of strong or severe thunderstorms due to that moisture and the favorable conditions for severe weather, Mike.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about now what could be happening for us here. This live look right now at Albany, New York, 56 degrees for us right now. It's possible, you're going to have this lion coming in March. All right, our next named winter storm could be headed your way. Our winter weather expert, Tom Nizzle, joining us now to talk about as the storm emerges out of the Midwest, Tom, some of that energy pushes into the Northeast, and what that means is with the pattern it's setting up, could be a prolonged snow for some places, like Albany maybe.
Snow is one thing. Wind and the coastal erosion is going to be huge. We're going to talk a lot about that with Dr. Navarro in just a minute here, but this is the setup that we have here. It's a blocking pattern. This deep trough in the eastern U.S. is really, really conducive to rapid development of a coastal storm here. There's the system that goes through the Midwest here. Watch how this thing loses its definition across the Appalachians, and then here, as we get into Friday, rapid development of this offshore storm. Pressure drops very rapidly here. Strong winds around the backside of the storm. A lot of moisture being brought westward all the way back into western New York State. Now, our computer models are still having a lot of problem with the exact location of the low. These are all the members of our ensemble team. And look at the spread across here.
That's hundreds of miles.
And it has a huge difference on the amount of precipitation.
The storm's only 2 days away, Tom. That causes forecasters fits.
It's very difficult in this situation to determine how much snow and how much precipitation actually occurs back there. One thing's for certain, regardless of where this ends up, it's going to be a tremendous ocean storm, and that's going to be very rough. These are the computer model forecasts here. That's the GFS. The European model, you can see the story here, the footprint of that heavier snowfall across upstate New York here into portions of New England. The European model actually brings snow all the way down to the coast. Right now, our forecast is keeping this mainly a rain event here, but boy, back along the I-90 corridor there in New York State and in through the Catskills, very heavy snowfall. The combination of snow and wind is really going to cause some problems here, so this is going to be a big event no matter how you slice it.
Let's take it to the coast now. For more on that story, here's Alex and Dr. Navarro.
I want to show you some of the images that we saw out of Winter Storm Grayson. Looks like a slushy machine went on the loose here in Boston as chilly waters from the harbor moved on into the city streets. People were driving through it, attempting to clear and attempting to keep it away from some of those hotels, other businesses in the Long Wharf area. Also, Rockport, Massachusetts, dealing with surge and big waves, and same story there. Very icy waters moving on shore. Here's the situation in Scituate, Massachusetts, where it was again an area that was inundated by water thanks to the onshore flow brought to us from Winter Storm Grayson. Will we be looking at a similar scenario? Dr. Navarro, it does look likely because of those onshore persistent winds.
Yeah, and we're talking about not 1 but 2 days potentially of that onshore flow. So we're having not only the wind, the waves, but also the surge on top of that. So this could be a monster storm in terms of that sense, because you just have, again, several days of that onshore flow here, and this wind is basically going to be due east, into the Massachusetts coast here, even the coast of Maine and New Hampshire as well. Very strong easterly winds here, so many areas that are often impacted by a nor'easter could now be in play because these winds have changed direction just slightly. So again, this is a big deal.
And look strong, at the perhaps an understatement. Yes, 60 to 75 mile per hour winds.
Yeah,
gusting.
Yes, these wind gusts are near hurricane force. We are absolutely in the tropical storm force range here. So this, and again, it's not even just the coastal areas. Look at New York City, even DC, 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts here. Very blustery day across the Northeast, but that does not downplay at all what could be the coastal impacts from this, because this is just a huge storm here with a very large wind field. So a lot here to keep it in tabs for sure. So taking a look at the coast here, especially along Massachusetts to the outer part here, southeastern Massachusetts, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, very moderate to high risk of coastal flooding, coastal erosion, and that storm surge. It could be 2 to 3 feet above high tide.
All right, a lot to keep an eye on. And Mike, a lot still yet to come on the show.
That's right, big snow. In fact, feet of snow on the way. We've got breaking news regarding what could be the biggest winter storm of the season so far in the West. That's coming up next.
Alright guys, I'm gonna end the stream. And my phone's about to die. I'll update you on this northeaster.